There's something that's always bothered me about modern day theme parks. It's not the food prices, or the long lines, or even the rising cost of admission. Those are all very annoying, but it's something much deeper than that. Something that has been a very consistent issue for the past couple of decades. And that's originality. Now, what do I mean by that? When I look at most of the major theme parks around the world today, Disney, Universal, even Six Flags to an extent, I feel like they've been missing out on creating truly original, groundbreaking concepts. Instead, what we've seen lately is a heavy reliance on intellectual properties, or IPs for short. And while IP-based attractions can be great, I think theme parks have lost something important in the process. The magic of creating whole new worlds that exist only inside the park. To understand this problem, we need to go back to where it all started. Disneyland in the 1950s. Disneyland wasn't the first amusement park, but it was the one that revolutionized the industry as a whole. Walt Disney didn't just want rides, he wanted immersion. Not a midway filled with random roller coasters and games, but an entire park where every corner told a story. Disneyland was built as a literal fantasy land, no pun intended. Guests weren't just walking through rides, they were stepping into carefully crafted environments. And then once Walt Disney World opened in 1971 in Orlando, it supercharged that vision. It didn't just inspire future Disney parks, it pushed the entire industry forward. Tons of parks around the world, you will notice, opened either right after Disneyland or right after Disney World, because a lot of the inspiration from these parks is what stemmed the creation of a lot of your favorite parks today. Suddenly, regional amusement parks across the US and the world began rethinking what they offered. Six Flags, for example, had parks before Disney World, but its big growth boom happened in the shadow of Disney's success. These parks, though not as heavily themed, began experimenting with themed lands, dark rides, and storytelling. And for a while, originality remained a key part of the equation. But fast forward to today, and the picture looks very different. Disney and Universal, the two giants of themed entertainment, rely almost exclusively on intellectual properties. Disney, of course, has the deepest library of films, characters, and franchises in the world. Universal, while not as self-sufficient, has leaned on licensing deals with popular franchises to compete. And from a business perspective, this makes perfect sense. An attraction based on Frozen or Harry Potter has instant recognition. People already love these stories. Fans want to experience them in real life. Even better, these rides drive cross-promotion. If a guest rides Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, maybe they'll go watch the movie. It's a marketing win-win. The watershed moment for the shift came in 2010, when Universal Orlando opened the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. For the first time in decades, Universal seriously challenged Disney, and Disney's response? Doubled down on IPs. Since then, it's been a never-ending race. Avatar, Toy Story, Star Wars, Frozen, Marvel, and same with Universal. Monsters, Nintendo, you name it. But here's the thing, while IP rides are fun, I think we've lost something in the process. Because when you look at Walt Disney World, for example, the last major original attraction to open, sure you could argue this point, but I would say was Expedition Everest back in 2006. That's almost 20 years ago. Expedition Everest is a great example of what originality can achieve. Disney created a thrilling roller coaster with a unique story and setting, a Himalayan expedition gone wrong, completed with a terrifying Yeti. It wasn't based on a movie, a TV show, or even a comic book. It was pure Imagineering, and it became an instant classic. Since Everest, though, almost every Disney ride or attraction has been IP based, and it's not just about what gets added, it's also about what gets taken away. Original attractions have been ripped out in favor of IP overlays. Take Maelstrom at Epcot's Norway Pavilion. It was a quirky atmospheric boat ride through Norse mythology, something unique to that pavilion. Disney replaced it with Frozen Ever After. Is Frozen a good ride? Sure, but it doesn't have the same originality or the same personality. Look at Hollywood Studios, the park that once had the Streets of America, Lights, Motors, Action, and even the Backlot Tour. Today, those have been replaced with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land. While those lands are popular and I do very much enjoy them, Hollywood Studios has completely lost its identity. It started with an actual movie studio park, and now it's just a cluster of random themed ride and attractions. The problem isn't just Disney either. Universal has been guilty of the same thing. Attractions like Twister Ride It Out, a disaster, original concepts that were quirky, have been replaced with IP rides like Fast and Furious Supercharged and Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon. And let's be honest, those are some of the weakest rides they built. When originality disappears, so does a lot of the park's long-term soul. But then came 2025. Universal did something bold. They opened Epic Universe that featured Celestial Park, the hub of their brand new theme park. Celestial Park is one of the first major original lands to be built in over 2 decades. It's not tied to an IP. Instead, it's a sprawling cosmic themed space with attractions like Constellation Carousel and Stardust Racers, plus immersive gardens, restaurant, and walkways. It's fresh, it's unique, and it feels like a return to form. For someone like me in my early 20s, this is a big deal. I didn't grow up seeing new original lands opened. By the time I was old enough to remember new lands and attractions opening, the first one I can think of was the Wizarding World back in 2010. Celestial Park is the first time I've seen a major company roll out something completely new, and it feels revolutionary. What makes it work so well is that it blends with Epic Universe's structure. The park is a series of portals, each leading to a different IP-based land. But to make those portals make sense, you need an original hub. Celestial Park provides that. It's the glue that holds the whole concept together. So why does originality matter? Why not just stick with IP since it clearly makes more money and is way more popular? Well, the answer lies in legacy. When you think about the Magic Kingdom, what comes to mind? Is it Tiana's Bayou Adventure? Is it Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin? No, it's rides like the Haunted Mansion, Jungle Cruise, Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. None of these were based on movies when they opened. They were original creations that became beloved classics. Imagine if those rides had been based on whatever movie was popular in the 1970s. Would they have lasted? Would they still have the same staying power today? Probably not. Original attractions give theme parks their identity. They're not just cash grabs, they're world building. And it's not just nostalgia. Original rides can have more freedom. They're not limited by what a movie looks like or what characters can and can't do. Imagineers and designers can build something from the ground up, tailor-made for the ride system and the story they want to tell. That's how you get something as weird, wonderful, and timeless as the Haunted Mansion. Some of these attractions were so popular that movies were based on them later on, and now franchises like Pirates of the Caribbean are one of the most popular movie franchises in the world because of a completely original idea for a theme park. So, what's the future? Honestly, IPs, they're not going anywhere. It makes too much money. Kids want to meet Elsa and ride through Arendelle. Adults want to pilot the Millennium Falcon. These attractions will always have a place. But parks need balance. For every Galaxy's Edge or Pandora, there should be a Celestial Park. For every Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, there should be an Expedition Everest. Originality keeps parks fresh. It creates the classics of tomorrow. My hope is that Epic Universe kicks off not just a new theme park war, but a new wave of creativity. If Universal can take risks with original concepts and make them work, maybe Disney will follow suit. After all, they built their empire on originality. Why not return to it? At the end of the day, I don't think IP-based attractions are bad. Some of them are incredible. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, in my opinion, is the greatest ride ever created. But when parks rely on IPs alone, they risk losing the very thing that made them special in the first place. Theme parks aren't just about recreating movies. They're about creating worlds you can't find anywhere else. And that means sometimes stepping away from the familiar and daring to build something new. Celestial Park proved it's still possible. Now the question is whether other parks will follow that lead, or if originality will remain the exception rather than the rule. Because for theme parks to truly thrive, they need both. They need the crowd-pulling powers of IPs, but they also need the soul that only originality can bring to a theme park.